Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I am back in Belgium, I am back recording videos. Unfortunately, my voice is not back at 100%, but I'm sure that with a maximum of more likes we have, faster my voice will come back at 100%, I'm sure about that, so continue to put a maximum of Subscribe to the channel. I just rewatched Juventus Verona, this time on television, after watching it in real life there in the Allianz Stadium. Ragazzi, I tell you the truth, still goosebump after that 96-minute goal, 1-0 of Andrea Cambiaso. In today's video, because we are 4 days later, I will not really go deep diving in the details of the game. I will try to share in another video the 4-day trip in Turin that I had the chance to experience, because I did so many great things. Trip that I will never forget in my life. But now it's time for actuality with some big topics to speak about. One that is controversial and unpopular, the extension of the contract for Nicolo Fagioli. We'll also speak about the extension, possible extension of Dusan Vlahovic. That is the question. Is it because of the sporting result or maybe economical one? So we'll talk about that. So many things to speak about. Like, for example, the return of Soule already in January. So put a maximum of we start immediately with enough topic. The one of the Ballon d'Or that yesterday we saw Lionel Messi receiving his 8th one in his career, something that is incredible. 8 Ballon d'Or is something incredible. Deserved, well, if we are looking at the greatness of the player in the history of what he did for football, in a way we can say, yes, probably deserved. Maybe that one was the one that was too much, that is actually putting a bit of shadow on the authenticity of a trophy that I already told you so many times. I stopped believing it in 1996 when our guy, Alessandro Del Piero, didn't receive that trophy. And then if you're looking at Iniesta, Pirlo, Buffon, all players that probably deserve to win that trophy and never won it, well, in a way, this one is the one that was a bit too much. Especially if you're looking at the rules. They are awarding not a team, but an individual for a performance in a season since last season. So we were checking at 22, 23 performances. And if Leo was incredible at the World Cup that Argentina won, well, we can't say the same in the consistency of the season, because he didn't perform really well with Paris Saint-Germain, not in La Ligue, not in Champions League, especially not in Champions League. I saw some memes that were saying that he touched more Ballon d'Ors than balls against Bayern Munich. Well, it means that this trophy is a political one, especially if we are comparing with the fantastic season of Erling Haaland. That was the one that had an immense impact on the treble of Manchester City. Anyway, do I believe in the trophy? No, but let me know in the comment section what is your opinion about the 8 Ballon d'Or of Lionel Messi. Now we go towards Juventus in our home, looking at how the day started with some beautiful images of Halloween, because there were 2 players that were totally dressed up, and Juventus asked, can you guess the players? If the first one was easy to guess, if you zoom in and you look at the eye of the captain of the last 2 games of Juve, we are speaking about Adrien Rabiot, it was impossible to guess the second player, that was Weston McKennie, if you didn't watch the video that they posted later today or later in the day on social media. Anyway, beautiful also the Juventus women video that you can go and check, because the after effect used were simply incredible. Yesterday there were 2 last games of Serie A with actually 2 beautiful news. The first one was that Fiorentina lost their 2nd consecutive game at the 95th minute, creating more and more gap with points at Juve. I remember you that last week or 2 weeks ago we were equal points. Now we have a gap of 6 points with Fiorentina, that yesterday lost on a penalty at the 95th minute of Ciro Immobile. And we are playing against Fiorentina this weekend, so hopefully they can lose their 3rd consecutive game. That will see Juventus going more up and up in that ranking of Serie A. I told you that there were 2 great news. Well, yesterday Atalanta showed, this is how Gazzetta dello Sport is describing the game of yesterday, 3-0 against Empoli with a fantastic, beautiful backheel goal of Scamacca that scored a brace yesterday. When I'm telling you fantastic news, for what reason? Because next week Atalanta is playing against Inter, and if we know that at the moment in the ranking of Serie A Juventus is at -2 from Inter, well, maybe next week if we are able to beat Fiorentina, if Atalanta is able to beat Inter, Juventus will be at the match day 11 alone on top of Serie A. Can we dream? We can dream. Everything is possible, like we dreamt about a last second win against Verona last weekend on Saturday. Anyway, now we enter the unpopular, controversial, possible extension of Nicolo Fagioli. Well, do I like it? Yes or no? Depending in what way you're looking for. I told you last week that Juventus would back up the player from a human perspective, so not banning him from training with the team. He's always there. He's also traveling with the team when we are playing games, so that he's always there to give some support, to still feel connected with the Bianconeri world. I think that at the moment it's a real controversial, unpopular one, because it's a player that will not play until the last game of Serie A against Monza, because he has been banned. And it's not because of an injury. It's not because of mistake of Juventus. His own responsibility, something that he took, that he publicly spoke about, and is assuming the consequences. He's taking all the consequences. So Juventus extending in a moment where there was no rush, because he had a contract until 2027. So it's not a moment where you said, you know what, Fagioli, maybe it's rushing because we are scared that we can lose him. Contract until 2026, by the way. They were actually believing in the kid. They want to show him total support. So on that way, I'm super proud of the club I'm supporting, because it's not something that is, like natural. It's not something that you say, yes, they had to do it, so they will do it. No, it's something that they could freeze until that he was back. On the other side, well, if there is an increase in salary, I personally wish and hope that it will goes in from the moment that he's back, maybe from season 24-25. But on the other side, I back up that decision. Let me know in the comment what you think about that one, because it's a controversial one. Soule has been on all the front pages with his brace, and unfortunately for him, a brace that was counting 0 for the team of Frosinone because they lost 4-3. But on the other side, Soule is doing fantastically well. Since he started with Frosinone, he has always been the man of the match, never subbed out. He's playing fantastically well. Sorry. Soule, more and more they are speaking about his potential return in January. I continue to say, let him stay where he is, because he's doing fantastically well, and the speed of growth that the kid is having at Frosinone, I would personally love to see him at Juventus. You know how much I praise the guy since he was with the under 19. Well, it's a guy that I would love to see, but in a model of weighing of playing that is also going towards where he fits in. If it's for taking him and playing in a 3-5-2, it's make totally no sense. Frosinone is available to speak with Juve. They will listen to Juve, to Giuntoli, to Manna, looking also to what Allegri has in mind for that second part of the season. Then, if the Mercato is telling us that Juventus wants to invest to a change of formation, going toward a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 or whatever, but playing him in his natural position, then it's something that I would love to do. It's not only Soule, but also Locatelli that could extend until 2028. So Fagioli, Soule, Locatelli. They are speaking also about Rugani. Rugani, that today in Tuttosport there is the big title. Ask forgiveness to Rugani. Is he a sub? Well, the facts are saying no, because since 2021, he had only one game where he conceded a goal. In total, 7 wins, 1 goal that had been conceded. Is he insecure? Well, in Tuttosport, they are saying more a humble guy that is not loving to be on the first pages of the Italian sport papers, but someone that is not speaking a lot, is not showing a lot, it's not doing these dribbles and skills, he has not showing that grinta on the field, but is always really secure, playing a clean defense. So Rugani, I believe, if you're reducing his salary, well, can be the first option as a bench, and I'm happy that more and more people are realizing it. On the other side, we have a bad news, because when I was watching with my son the game in the stadium, I saw actually fantastic, beautiful movements offensively and defensively from Timo Weah, a player that is growing fantastically well, especially in the last few weeks since he came back from international break, a player that was also giving the opportunity to Weston McKennie to play a bit more central, where after losing Paul Pogba and Nicolo Fagioli, we really needed someone. Well, Timothy Weah was subbed out. I didn't understand why from the stands, but then yesterday we heard that he is injured, small injury. He will be out 20 days, so he should be back after the international break. I hope that he will not travel to the USA, but in November that he will stay with Juve so that he can be ready for the game after the international break. And we are speaking about a big one because it's the one against Inter. On the other side, we could potentially see Danilo back on the bench or maybe from the start against Fiorentina. This is what Juventus is counting on. I personally would not risk him at all. Calling him up, yes. Having him on the bench, yes. But I would continue to trust Gatti, Bremer and Rugani without creating difficulties or risking the Brazilian player. So what is opening now with the injury of Weah, we have a new opportunity, the one that I'm asking since the tourney in USA, to have potentially a Cambiaso, the match winner of Juve Verona, on the right side of the field. Why? Because without Weah, we are all thinking about Weston McKennie on the right side. Having him there on the right side, we'll see a Miretti from the start of the game in the middle of the field. Something that this season not always paid back. But when he's entering, like he entered against Verona, when the game is more open, where the game is a bit less tactically, you see a 20 years old Fabio Miretti that is really shining. So I would personally continue with Miretti in the second half, McKennie as a starter in that three-man midfield, and with Cambiaso on the right. Probably you will lose a bit of that entering the field from the left, but having Cambiaso on the right for the two next games that are Fiorentina and Cagliari can also give a bit more minute to Ealing Jr. that at the moment totally disappeared. Not only from the start of the game, but also from the bench. So a Cambiaso that I will probably put on the thumbnail of today's video because he's giving us an opportunity to be a starter. And I consider Cambiaso, when we are seeing what he did in the first 10 games of the season, a real starter of Juventus. I think that he has not only the physicality, but also able to play with 2 feet, can play on the left, can play on the right. Now he also showed that he was able to score. So Cambiaso for a start on the right side, absolutely yes, until Timo Weah is back. Corriere dello Sport is speaking about the secrets of Max. They are speaking about the fact that now they are able to train even more with 1 game a week. More video analysis, and when I'm speaking with the players, they are all telling me that they are focusing a lot on analyzing the game, understanding where they can improve. Well, this is another Juventus in a lot of different topics. The first one that is clear and evident to everyone is the fact that Juventus had the 7th clean sheet on match day 10. 7 on 10, that is huge, with 6 goals conceded. If we are looking at the 4 goals only in the game of Sassuolo, we can say that we build again a bunker. You have some details analysis in comparing what Juventus is doing in defense and what Inter is doing. Maybe we'll come back in the details about that in the future. But of course, we have to also think about the strikers. And if it's true that Juventus is doing quite well in defense, we have to score more. Then, of course, if they don't cancel all goals, because we scored 3 times against Verona, they canceled 2, and it's not the first time that they are canceling our goals. But if you're looking at the last 5 games, we scored 1 against Lecce, 0 against Atalanta, 2 against Torino, 1 against Milan, 1 against Verona. So that's 5 goals in 5 games. Not enough to think that we can compete until match day 13 in Serie A. One of the players that we are all waiting for is Dusan Vlahovic, that according to me was not the best one, far from. For me, it was the worst one against Verona. Well, Tuttosport is asking him something that I believe that all the tifosi of Juve are asking him. Vlahovic, prenditi Firenze, take back Firenze, because he will play in his ex-stadium, he will play against his ex-team, and we are all waiting for him to go back to the score sheet with a goal and possibly, of course, with a win. He will be under exam, because at the moment, if you're analyzing facts, from the moment that he went out because of that low back pain, that lombalgia, well, we see some players that are going up and up and up. If you see the contribution of Milik in the game of Verona, we can't say that Vlahovic was better or even better if we are speaking about the contribution to the team, what Milik was about to do. So at the moment, Milik is pushing to play more minutes. With Dusan Vlahovic, I will probably have 2 games to really show that he can bring something more, going back to how we started the season. On the other side, well, Moise Kean, it's also really extremely difficult to keep him on the bench. If you're looking at the performance of Moise Kean against Verona until he was subbed out, the guy was by far the best one. He had so many occasions created. He scored 2 goals. He was on every ball. He can protect the ball. He can run. He has a physique that is incredible. Well, he's maybe putting also Chiesa in doubt. That Chiesa, when he entered, played really well, so better than Dusan Vlahovic. But at the moment, if Chiesa is not at 100%, well, we can see probably for the 5th game in a row, Moiskin starting against Fiorentina. Gazzetta dello Sport is not speaking only about the sporting performances, but also about the contract of Dusan Vlahovic with Vlahovic la mia signora. Why? Because they are speaking about loyalty, going with an extension of contract until 2027. It is time for the renewal, and the agents will be there this week, latest next week, to start the initial discussion with the management of Juve. Well, if you are looking at the salary that is earning at Juventus, that is around 8 million euro, in crescendo, because next year can reach 10 million, and people are speaking that it will continue to grow until the last year of his contract to 12 million euro. Well, numbers in terms of salary with the new politic of Juventus, but especially in the environment of Serie A, that are absolutely out of proportion. So extending until 2027, lowering his salary or stopping that growing factor could be something that is more realistic. So I believe that Juventus is pushing not only to keep the player at Juventus for a longer term, to use a player that is a big, huge potential. Look at the first game of Serie A, but also to think about an economical situation that is probably a bit too much for the Bianconeri in this moment. Guys, this is what I wanted to say in today's video. We spoke about a lot of arguments. Soule coming back, yes or no, I want your opinion. Vlahovic extending, is it more sporting wise? Is it more economical wise? Is it both? We spoke about Fagioli, correct moment to extend, yes or no. We spoke about Allegri and the secrets of having only 1 game a week that is beneficial, especially in analyzing the game. We spoke about so many things in today's video, so I want your opinion. Don't forget Ballon d'Or, and don't forget to put a maximum of like, continue to subscribing to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.